Welcome to Painter's Breakfast. I'm your host, Jaws Blake. As you well know, things are good. Things are moving. Things are beautiful. Today, I went to a special place that I haven't gone to before to eat food. And that is Koma Cafe. Koma Cafe is in Takoma Park. Um, it's a very chill spot. I was actually really impressed by maybe one more really um, impressed by just how cool and chill it was, and everybody was there. It was really nice, and it's got a very Goomba vibe. For those who know, it does look a little bland though, so I'm gonna spice it up a little. But as most people from my neck of the world will tell you, we do that on all food, so it doesn't really matter. You could spice it up yourself. I'm probably still gonna add something to it. Maybe some big old toast. I'm not gonna eat that just because diabetic, but I'll have one piece. I can have one piece of bread. Yeah, but it's good. So I got the garlic boussant, I think is what it's called. And it's just so that you see what I see. It was prettier before I moved it around. Sorry. But it's very nice. Yeah, so my week has been making big moves about me. I sold that album cover that I was working on, so that's cool. I got offered the opportunity, matcha latte, by the way. I got offered the opportunity to do a show in Easton, Maryland, which is on the coast. Oh, that's real good. Okay, I see now. It's all coming together. Supposed to load up a sandwich, a bread with this stuff. It's the only problem when you get stuff to go. It's not always clear how things are meant to be eaten. So, a gallery show's been offered. I'm putting together all the stuff. So, price list, artist statements, just everything. So, we're working on that today. I'm very excited about that. Let me see, what else? I've been trying out different things to help with my blood sugar, and I feel pretty good. I felt pretty good recently. Mm. It's very good. I can't eat this bread. It tastes so good, but I know my blood sugar is gonna spike so hard. So I probably should have just said something, but I didn't think about it. And so you don't. Pretty simple. Pretty straightforward that way. You don't think about it, you're not thinking about it, so you didn't think about it. It's fine. Very good. Man, that's good. Reminds me of growing up in the Caribbean. Just like the flavors. The flavors of the food were always so passionate. So I'm thinking about maybe working on that clay sculpture today. Been putting it off. I need to just get into it. I'm like, I get it, but I need this part. My recent excuse has been, I need a rolling pin. I can't use the one we use, so I need to buy a new one. But I have a coupon for a place that sells it that starts in February 1st. And if I do that, then I get $5 off. So, I've kind of been putting it off until February now because I would like a discount to come in handy. And I don't go enough to that store that if I don't use it then, that I'm ever going to use it. Because it does expire. I just don't shop there enough. So, my dilemma is procrastination. I don't know whether I like the eggs better or the mushrooms, but they're very good. Very, very good. Pretty! What's up? So yeah, it's been going on with that. So beyond that, I've been looking at the story of Daryl George recently. Been reading about him a lot. He's a recently turned 18-year-old young black man with dreadlocks who's being harassed by his school system to essentially shave his head. They don't like dreadlocks. They don't like black people hair in general. Which is one of the reasons why I try to paint what I try and paint these days. Like, I think showing hairstyles that are not traditionally shown in art is really, really important because it helps, like, acclimate and kind of introduce. This is, like, a very, like, normal part. Seeing other people's cultures should not be weird to you. If it is, you probably don't get out enough. I gotta be honest with you. So they're trying to bully him into. They've already suspended him a bunch of times and tried to kick him out of school and etc. And it's literally just because he has dreadlocks. And they tell him that you can't have hair longer than that goes past your ears. So he kind of cornrows it up so that it's properly done, so that it's not. And they still don't like that either. They don't want that. It's just such trash. I remember being like a little boy and like growing up, and you know, I'm a little West Indian kid, a little Afro Latino kid, and growing up, I looked a little different than some of the kids around me, and so that was a standout thing. But I remember like the day that my voice got real deep, as opposed to when my voice was like this when I was a little kid. I was treated different by adults. You know, that was probably the big difference. It wasn't so much like people around me or anything, because like whether my voice had changed or not, like I hadn't gotten any bigger. You know, I wasn't like a man all of a sudden. And I remember I started to get taller, and my voice changed, and I put a little muscle on, and I was just like this little skinny kid. You know, got my first tattoo. And I think before I was even maybe 16, I was surrounded by like adults who wanted to treat me like I was a man. And I very much was not anywhere close to where I am now, you know, as an adult man, understanding the world or having the idea of responsibility or anything of that nature. And so it was just kind of ridiculous. Like they're instantly expected to be this big guy. Resin, How's it going? You expected to be like this boy, suddenly, who transforms into this giant adult man who can navigate the world and all its complexities, racism, and etc. And you're not really prepared for that. And it's always felt kind of unfair that little boys, little brown and black boys, have to suddenly become men by the age of 14, you know? Where like other people, oftentimes even in the school system, are treated, you know, well into their 20s are treated like little boys. So, you know, grab a napkin. I'll be right back. And it was just, it breaks my heart because he deserves to be able to enjoy his childhood. You know? You're supposed to, the easiest time you're ever really going to have in your life is like when you're in high school. Right before adulthood. Because like you're getting to the point where you're old enough to do things, but no one expects much of you. So you can you can fail, you can succeed, you can coast. And it's all just, you know, normal stuff, you know? There's not a huge responsibility that comes with it. There's not a huge bill that comes with this learning curve. Unless you decide to disassemble like your car or something. And then, you know, then there's an actual bill. But for the most part, I don't know, I always started painting all these things to feel connected with my culture. More so. And then, at a certain point, I started painting other parts of the culture just because it was so difficult. I'd be looking up things as a young kid, trying to find references, visual references of what I was looking for. A lot of times it was like people like me. And I couldn't find them in art. I just didn't. Anywhere. Shanky Lank. Hey, how are you? Thanks for joining me. I couldn't find them, so I remember getting like a digital camera as soon as I could. First I had like, you know, the point and click, obviously, disposables. And then eventually I got the digital camera, and the digital camera allowed me to better take photos of just myself and the people around me for references, because there were none. Completely underrepresented. Underrepresented. And looking for something and not finding it is probably like one of the most frustrating things you can have to deal with, because like there's just nothing you can do about it. If it does not exist, it does not exist at all. Like, where people go like, where's the ceiling? And the ceiling is 6 floors lower than what you're looking for. There were no like little black babies, no little brown children faces. There were no even for the food. Like to find an image in the 90s of like mango, which is like a Puerto Rican dish for plantains. It was completely impossible for my ability to look for it in North Carolina via the public library, buying old National Geographics, cutting out little strips and pulling out pages and putting them in binders for references. I used to have this big black plastic binder with sleeves And if I saw something that I thought was something I could use later for references, I would rip out the page, slip it in one of those little clear things, and like those were the only ways I had references of anything. So it was really frustrating. It was hard. It was almost impossible. And like you think of like all these magazines that are more kind of along those lines, like they didn't exist at the time. So like now we're in this time period where it's so common to walk around and see another guy with dreadlocks. It's so common to see a girl with her hair braided. It's so common to see someone who shaved their head, someone who grows their hair long in a huge afro, someone who flat irons their hair, someone who there's so many long, short, medium. There's so many ways to see it now represented, and I think the problem that we oftentimes run across is we have such like a 30-second memory of these things because they're there now, and so we assume they've always been there, and like we don't realize how much went into making it so these things are normal, and then to have that kid have to go through all that bullshit. It's just sad. Like, I know they've got a court case going up. The Crown Act is this law that got enacted, I think it was last year, that basically says you're not allowed to discriminate against anyone for a culturally, pretty much for their hair, but specifically, you're not allowed to discriminate against someone who has a hairstyle that is different and is part of their culture, in essence. Like there's still safety laws and all that stuff. Like I'm not walking by an ankle grinder with my hair down. I'm obviously tying it up and putting it away and doing all this stuff. There's still safety, but I've heard so many excuses throughout the years of like for people where they're like, "Oh, but you want it to be professional." And it's like, "Well, you mean you want it to look business professional, which is typically like what is acceptable to like white people in the 40s type of thing. Like you just take all the pomade, put it in your hands, you smush your hair all the way back, big thick lumps stuff, and then you wax it to your head basically, type of thing. Or you cut your hair super short, and you're not allowed to even know what your hair looks like. Like I understand there are women out there who get perms because they want to have perms, and like they've always done a perm. That's how they like their hair. I get that. Like that is a choice. But I don't know where I was going with that. But you choose to look a certain way. You know what I mean? Like other people should have the same right. I don't know why I attacked women with perms. I'm sorry. I don't know where I was going with that. I guess it's the idea that like you can change you're allowed as a person who has straight hair, you're allowed to change your hair to look curly, but someone with curly hair who's okay with having curly hair is then treated poorly, and that's just segregation. I don't know. It feels a lot. It feels a lot like it shouldn't even be a thing. Like just leave people alone. Let people live how they want to live. I think how many people have randomly like walked up to me and like tried to touch my. Actually, I don't even say try. Have like pulled at my hair, and I'm just like, what are you doing? That's so weird. Like I've just never seen that before. And I'm like, and that's your response? Your response is to tug at people? That's crazy. I just hope it goes well for Kid. I know I'm all over the place with this. I hope it goes well for him. I am excited, like I said, about this gallery. It just seems like it's a really cool fit. I think we'll do well together. I want to just put work up and do all types of things. One of the amusing parts is, in order to apply for this one grant that I'm actually looking at, I need to have had my work in a gallery this year anyway. So that'd be cool. Two birds, one stone, man. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Barnacle Michael. Hello. Yeah. I've been trying to in my soon to be 42, I am trying to look back at old movies that I wanted to watch sort of kind of throughout the decades, and now I'm giving the opportunity to either rewatch or watch for the first time. So I watched Rustin on Netflix, which was really cool. It's about Byron Rustin. He's a civil rights leader. So that's really cool. He helped organize the March on Washington. So that was really interesting to watch. Really well acted. Coleman Domingo was in it. Love Coleman Domingo. Cool as shit guy. Dresses like a fucking super, like a comic book character. Like he's just fantastic. I want to rewatch The Warriors. I haven't rewatched The Warriors in a while. And I was talking to a friend of mine not too long ago, and we were talking about it, and I was like, I gotta watch that again. I forgot that I haven't watched it this year. Not 2024, 2023. I didn't watch in 2023. I'm still getting used to the fact that we're in a new year. You know, where you still keep writing 23 on stuff as opposed to 24 at the end of dates. I'm in that moment. See, kids, you never outgrow these things. Yeah. And just, I see a bunch of movies that I want to go back to. So I want to find Legend. I want to find, there's just so many. There's this movie that I wanted to watch about these black women who were, they did the math that allowed America to go to the moon, and I never got a chance to watch that. I can't remember what it's called. Taraji P. Henson's on it, I know that, and Octavia Spencer. So I'm gonna watch that maybe today, if I can remember what it's called. But I'll Google it. It'll be fine. What the? Sorry, I have a call going on right now. Give me 1 sec. That's always the fun thing about like trying to film this stuff on your phone. Like you're not always guaranteed it's going to not mess up. So, oh well, live things happen on live things. So I guess I'm gonna call this person back and see what's going on. Thank you very much for joining me. Love you very much, Galeras. Keep rocking, keep rolling, being nice to each other. Hope you have a good breakfast. I'll talk to you later. Painter out. Ciao.